So let's focus today's session on scope management. Scope, or I will also call it as requirements management. Okay. Now, uh, I think during the late 90s or so, there was a study which was done about the success rates of projects. Right. A lot of projects failed because the requirements or scope was not managed properly. Right. So I think the Standish report or something which mentions this. Which highlights the importance of why it's required to manage the scope and changes to the project. Now, logically thinking as well, right? So let's say you agreed to do 10 things in your project, right? And the customer comes in later and then adds, okay, I need two more things. So obviously, it could take you more effort, it could take you more time to complete that project, right? So instead of doing 10 things, now if you have agreed to do 12 things, obviously you should charge more and should get some additional time to accommodate those changes, right? Now a lot of times that doesn't happen. If the customer comes and asks, the business analyst just takes the requirements and then updates it, and that creates a problem, right? So overall, how do you ensure that whatever you have committed to the customer is delivered, and whatever you have not committed is handled in a more methodical way, rather than just haphazard way of just adding it ad hoc additions at any point in time. You need to manage that in a more structured way, right? So how do we do that, and what all activities constitute these requirements and scope management is what we would spend some time on, right? Now, the reason we do this is because it affects your overall success of the project, right? So your profitability of the project would be hit if you are increasing your effort, if you are increasing your scope, right? So you cannot do that, and changes are inevitable, right? So at any point, any project you pick, there will definitely be some change requests coming in, right? But so you cannot say no to them because your profitability will be hit. So how do we handle it? How do you make both the parties win-win and get into a win-win situation? So that's what we would learn in this session. Okay. So if I have to clearly summarize what is it this managing scope or requirements is, I would say, what, if I have 10 things that I have agreed initially, right? So 10 features are agreed in the system. Okay. I'll make sure that all those 10 features are delivered. So that's one part of the scope management. Okay. All 10 which are agreed upon has to be delivered in your finance system. Second thing, you will not pick up anything more than that. If anything more than that has to be picked up, then that has to be separately handled as a So yeah. So if anything additional comes in, then it has to be handled as a change request, and then appropriate funding, and then timelines also have to be adjusted to accommodate for that. Okay. So scope management includes two things. Whatever I committed, I will deliver. Whatever I have not committed, I will not just accept it like that. It has to go through a change management process. So these are the two things I would say is the two things that we would do as part of scope management, right? So if you have committed, we would deliver it, and if you have not committed, we will not deliver it, and it has to go through a change management process, right? So how do we do this? So there are some ways in which you could actually engage them. Okay. First step that you would what you need to do is to baseline your documents, right? Now, how do you know that you have committed this, right? So you have committed this for these 10 features, right? So ideally, you would look at it, maybe your SOW or your business case document. Make sure that okay, now we committed for these 10 features. So let's capture the details into the requirements document and ensure that it gets delivered, right? So having that point of reference, saying that okay, SOW we agreed on 10, so my requirements document will have 10 features. And since your BRD or the requirements document has 10 features, your design document will also have 10 features. So we are ensuring that there is a baseline. So everything points down to your SOW. Right? So ideally, you should fix to your SOW and then say, now whatever we agreed in the SOW, I'll definitely deliver that. Anything additionally coming in will go through a change management process. Right? So that should be your approach. So for doing this, make sure that you agree onto the baseline document. Right? So during your requirements phase, the SOW is the baseline document. Right? So when you're capturing the detailed requirements, SOW will become the baseline document. After the BRD is prepared, so during the requirements phase, you would have prepared the BRD, right? So after the customer signs off the BRD, then BRD becomes the baseline document. If something is there in the BRD, that then it's delivered. Otherwise, it has to go through the change request. So your point of reference is a BRD now. So the baseline is a BRD document, right? A very simple step. It will ensure you that you're in line with what was agreed upon earlier. If you don't baseline this document and have that point of reference, it will be a lot more trouble for you to have that discussions with the customer, whether it's in scope or out of scope. It will create a lot of confusion. Okay, so a very simple step. I mean, you logically think also. I think it makes sense, right? So you don't really need to know as a business analyst and all. So what if the customer comes and says, no, I want these additional things coming in. So you could always say, no, earlier we agreed to these 10 features in the SOW. So I'll deliver only 10. So anything additional you want, you have it to raise it as a change request, right? So effectively what you're doing is you are creating a mechanism to make sure that you are not accepting anything which are more than what you've committed, by defining this baseline document. A very simple step, right? So that's the main reason, when I was talking about the earlier slide also, I said first make sure that you have these documents in place. Now imagine a situation where you don't have an SOW in place and you have gone for your requirements, right? Now the customer could keep on telling you whatever he wants, right? He could end up with some 100 features or even 1,000 features. How do you know that you've committed for that? So let's say you've committed for $1 million for these 10 features, right? Now what if the customer comes up with 20 features during the requirements? Unless you have this point of reference, you can say, what, we agreed to these 10 features, so let's stick to that. And anything else, we'll have to relook at the cost and then the timelines for the project, right? So that argument would not be valid unless you have baseline these documents, right? So first thing, before you start your requirements, make sure that you have an SOW which clearly says that this is the list of features that has to be developed. And at a later point also, the customer could come back and then say, I want changes to this requirement, right? So let's say when you're doing the development, or maybe when you're testing it, the customer would say, what, I don't want it in this way, change the way you want it, change the way in which this feature should work, right? Then you can always refer to the BRD and then say, what, we agreed in the BRD that this is how it would be done. Now if it wants to be changed, then it has to be a change request. Okay, so the baseline document would help you put forward your argument. You can always say, we agreed on this, let's stick to this. Anything else comes up, it will be a change request. Clear about this point?
Raju, I have a few questions on this. Actually, I just missed the full form of SOW. What?
Statement of work.
Statement of work.
Yeah. Okay. So it is basically a project-specific contract document. Now, let's say, let's take the example, Citibank and Accenture are there, right? Now, Citibank is awarding the project to Accenture. Okay. Now, there needs to be a contractual document, right, for this particular project. So that document is called as a SOW. Now, in the SOW, what you will say is that, I would do all these things. Accenture would do all these things, and I would pay him this amount, and it would be delivered in these timelines. And these are the terms and conditions of the engagement. All that project-specific details are captured in the SOW. Okay. Alright. So it's basically a contractual document which has been signed by the client and the vendor, right? And it clearly tells what is it that we have agreed upon to deliver, what are the timelines, what are the costs, all those details are captured as part of your statement of work. Okay. So make sure that when you are elaborating your requirements into the BRD, you are aligned to that. Okay. If you have committed 10 features, you are delivering 10. Yeah.
Okay, one more question. This change management, what it is, what you are telling, I understood it. But what is scope creep? I mean, does it change management and scope creep is same terminology?
No, scope creep
No.
is
Okay.
different. I'll explain that. Now,
Okay.
change management, we haven't discussed it yet. How do we enforce a change coming into the project? We have not discussed that. I'll discuss that later. Okay.
Okay.
So there's a whole. I'll also take you through the template and we'll understand it in detail. But so we are not just accepting the change. We are enforcing that change management process. So that's what I meant here, right? Now,
But if there is a change, then of course the budget allocation and everything would be done for it. But again, then we have to go through the process of SOW and BRD and
no.
all.
So that is where your change management process would come in. So if
Okay.
instead of 10, you are adding 2 more features, right?
Okay.
So you don't have to go through an SOW and then again planning and all that. So there would be a change request for that, right?
Okay.
So I'll explain that process. So in the next slide, I'll talk about the change management. So that's the main reason I was just referring that there would be a change management framework to handle that. Okay, I'll explain that in the later slide. Okay, so you also brought in a term scope creep, right? So that's again the jargon which we use. If you don't manage your scope properly, right, you tend to deliver a lot more than what has been agreed upon, right? So that is called a scope creep. Now I'll take a small scenario and then I think it becomes more real. So you agreed for these 10 features for your system. Okay. Now the customer comes in and then say, you know what, I want these 2 things to be added, right? And you don't have a change management process. Let's assume, okay. He would say, no, during the requirements phase, can you please add in these 2 features? Okay. Then since you don't have a baseline document or a change management process, you will accept it. Okay, let me do that as well, right? You don't know the implications, how much effort this would take or how much time it would take. You have not considered all that yet, right? Then during the design phase, you would come back and then say, you know what, modify these 3 requirements, right? So if you are not managing your scope properly, right, you are actually doing a lot more work. So you have agreed for 10 things, now you are doing 5 additional things, right? So it would have cost you like $1 million for this, 10 features, and now you're adding some additional requirements to this as well, delivering within that 1 million. So obviously your project would fail. You will get into losses. Why? Because there is no account of these 5 features being. There is no way you have identified the effort and then the cost for these 5 features, right? So this way in which if you are not managing the scope properly, there is a tendency that people keep on adding features to your scope, and that is called a scope creep, right? Scope is increasing, it's creeping and increasing to a larger extent, and that's a word what scope creep means, right? So which is not good for the project. So if you are not managing the scope properly, it leads to scope creep. Okay, clear about that term now? All right, so yeah, we looked at the first thing that we need to do, which is the baselining of the document, right? Now it's a very simple activity, though it might sound a little complicated and all. It just we have that point of reference. We agreed on that document, that 10 features, so I'll stick to that 10 features. Any changes, initiate the change management process. Okay, it's as simple as that. So during our requirements phase, our point of reference or the baseline document would be the statement of work. After the BRD is signed up, generally the BRD is considered as a baseline document. If it is there in the BRD, you would deliver it. If it is not there in the BRD, you will not deliver it. Okay? So that's the first way of managing the scope. Okay? Usually, you also have to ensure that, with a lot of times, people focus only on the system that you are developing. Okay? Sometimes, you'll have to integrate with external systems also. So some data would come in some external system. Unless you change that system, create that interface, right, your system would not be successful. So people tend to, limit their scope only to the development of the system and exclude that external systems impact. Right? Now, this is again a word of caution that you should consider all those for the system and the ecosystem around it as well, to make sure that the system is developed completely. Right? So you don't miss out on some changes. It should not be like that. I'm expecting this set of data from other system for my project to for my application to work, right? But who is developing that? Who is developing that feature for extracting that data? Nobody is doing it. So even after you develop your system, right? So that if that data is not coming from the other system, it's your system is a failure. Right, so you have to consider that external systems as well when you are identifying the scope. So that's another way you would manage the scope. Okay, traceability and the change management. I'll cover that. What is the time now? Okay, so I'll take up these two topics in tomorrow's session. Let me talk about the approvals. Right. Now these are simple ways. The traceability and change management are very important. So I just don't want to take that in a hurry. That's the reason I'm parking it for tomorrow. Right now, approvals
Raju,
is again a very simple step. Yeah. Go ahead.
Raju, yeah, I have a question. Say for example, there's you said 10 features in BRD and everything is done, project started and everything happened, and all of a sudden he comes back and he say, okay, add two features to that. So
right.
In this scenario, how the technical team is involved, meaning how the from their side, do we have to have a meeting along with the technical team, and how do you guys manage that?
Yeah. So that exactly is covered in the change management process. So when such requests come, what should you do? So that is clearly explained in the change management process.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Cool.
So I'll explain that, how to handle when such a request comes in, how can you politely refuse just taking it at that point in time, and ensuring that the change management process is initiated. We'll cover that in detail in tomorrow. So that's the reason I'm saying, I'll cover that in detail in tomorrow's session, because I don't want to do that in a hurry, right?
Okay.
It's again an important interview question as well. So if you're looking at this scope management, broadly there could be some 3-4 questions. What are the ways in which you could manage the scope? You say, you should baseline your documents, you should get your approvals, should trace your requirements, you should enforce a change management process. So then you can talk broadly about these topics. Right? So that's one question. There could be specific questions, what is traceability? Or explain me the change management process. Right? So these could be, 3 or 4 questions which could be asked on this particular topic. Right? And usually it's important topic, and from the planning side, this is one question which you could definitely expect in the interviews. If somebody wants to check whether this person has experience on managing the scope and all, he would want to test it by asking these questions. Okay. So we'll cover the traceability and change management in tomorrow's session. The final one is maintaining the scope approval. Right. Now, this again is a very simple step. All right. Now, let's assume that you have captured your requirements into the BRD and then given it to the architect for designing, even before the the customer has signed up. Right? So customer has not provided any formal approval. So you said, okay, it's good to go. You go ahead and then develop it. Okay. So you would go ahead even without the customer approval, design and develop it. and then take it to the customer for testing. Now, if the customer does not like it, or if you want to make some change to it, you would say that, make this change, right? Now, if you ask him, okay, it's we agreed into the BRD in this way. Now you're, specifying a different way. Let's initiate the change management. If you say that, the guy would say that, I didn't approve the requirements, right? So you cannot enforce your baseline and your change management unless you have taken the formal approvals from the customer, right? So the customer could come back and then say, I didn't even approve that requirement. Why did you develop it? Now do it my way, right? So you need to have that formal approval from the customer. You need to have that commitment from the customer saying that, what, we have agreed onto this, way of managing the scope. We have agreed onto this requirement, right? And this is exactly what you have to deliver, right? You have taken that approval by formally signing off the BRD or approving the change request which is coming later as part of the change management process, right? So, you're getting a firm commitment from the customer. So you can be rest assured that he will not go back on his word. He will not say that, okay, no, I didn't approve it and all, because you have a written proof, right? Now this approval could actually, so some organizations enforce actually taking a printout and then formally signing it off. Some organizations, approve a email approval, right? So you need to figure out what is the process which is followed in the organization and stick to that. Make sure that you get all your requirements, what is documented in your BRD, formally approved. Okay, that means the client is either sending out an email or taking a hard copy printout and then signing it on the paper, right? Make sure that you adhere to that organization standards and get that approval. Okay. Similarly, when some requirement changes also, you'll have to, agree on to that, the change request what has been coming up, right? Otherwise, you'll not be able to, back up or defend your documents, whatever you have developed, right? So you'll fall flat, and then the customer said, I didn't approve. You go back and change it now. So you'll have to change it. Okay. So very simple things. Your baselining documents, your scope approvals are very simple things to do, but a lot more effective. Right? So they're very effective when it comes to managing your scope of the project. Right? So make sure that you follow that sacrosanctly. Right? So you should not miss it out at either baselining your documents or taking a formal approval at the end of the project. In fact, in most of the projects, this would be a definite checklist that as a exit criteria for your requirements. Getting the approval is an exit criteria. Unless you do this, you cannot start the design activity. Some organizations enforce it as a policy, but even if it's not done, make sure that you take that approval. Okay.